Hello all, thanks a lot to be with us this afternoon, and I'm very pleased to welcome you to this web session where we will talk about the latest version of our web server, the version 1.9. So I will be helped by Bertrand to perform this presentation. I will move to the different slides, and Bertrand will realize a demo to show you exactly what we have done. We will first explain the main topics that have been done in Web 1.9. You will have information about the enhancements that have been added in the version, and then we will move towards the SSO connection and see what towards the SSO connections to see what are the parameters that you have to set up in order to enable this type of connection. So let us move towards the enhancements that are added by the version 1.9. This version has been released last month. It is, as I do not know from which version you start, I will give you some information that will start to the 1.6 that was released a month before, but we have fixed the main of the issues in this latest version. So right now this version is the one that you can get from our distribution channel, and it is available in Windows and Linux as usual, and there is a slight difference between two versions. The Windows version is on 32 bytes. It includes a GDK7 but in 32 bytes, and the Linux version has the same prerequisites that are embedded with the version, but is only in 64 bytes. So here you have the matrix of availability that is given, and if you would like to use Linux on a 32-byte system, you will have to use the 1.5, which is the latest version, which is compatible with this Linux version. The main enhancements that are provided by the 1.9 version is enhancements for reliability. A lot of code has been changed to manage differently the reading of the information on the socket. We have moved from a way where we were pulling things and creating a lot of code that needed the CPU to be executed. We are creating thread when responses were not complete in the flux that we receive on the socket. And right now we move to a new way that is enabled by latest version of Java, where we use reading blocked on the socket. And while doing this, we have seen that we have an enhancement of performance for CPU used on the web server, but also on the memory that is used by the web server, because we have less threads that are created. And on the different bench that we have performed, we have seen around 25% of increasing of performance. We have included, it's already done in 1.6, but it's good to speak of it, the management of long jobs. On the older version of the web server, we were using Tomcat timeouts. It means that after a certain time, without answer coming from the X3 server, the connection was closed by Tomcat, who closed the session. Right now we are managing the session in a different way, and you can perform long job like folder validation, even if there are no messages that are coming from X3 server to the web server and then to the client. And we have enhanced network error management, which is one of the key aspects when you are using an internet connection, because sometimes you do not have the connection and you need to be able to restart from where you were. So of course there is some limitation, because you have parameters that you set in X3 in order to say that if you do not use the connection for a certain amount of time, it will be closed by the server. So this has been implemented, and it has been tested in all the cases, and we are happy of the results. This version also includes the full support of IE 10, and it works in desktop mode, not in Metro. And as we intend to support not more than 2 or 3 browser versions, we have abandoned IE 7. If you are in IE 7, you will have to move to IE 8 or 9. Probably 9. It will be supported by most of the Windows PC. Okay, that's it. There has been a lot of enhancements in the lost session management. There were some troubles with former version, and I think that right now it's an error that occurs very seldom. The logs management has been enhanced. You have less information but more pertinence, and there is a unique ID that identifies each session, which means it's easier if you have anything to trace with the logs. It's easier right now than what it was in the former version. There is some display enhancement according to some things that have been noticed to us for picking list management. There may have some troubles when you were working on a browser tab, and right now everything seems to be fixed. You can work, and this is done since 1.2.6, either in a full screen like it was in the former version, or in a tab of your browser. You have the choice, and when we generate the portal, we generate both. And we have integrated the mod security in the Apache repository that enables to make some security on the web server directories. Here is some information I would like to share with you. We have bought, our quality team has bought a tool which is called HP Performance Center, and with this tool we can simulate what we call the V-users, virtual users. We have a license that enables us to use 25 virtual users as long as we want, and sometimes we are performing bench where we buy for a certain time other virtual users, and we have moved sometimes to 500 depending on the test we wanted to do. And right now, for this version, we have tested it with what we have, so with 25 virtual users, but for 24 hours. And the results were pretty good, and I wanted to share it with you. It's what you see here. You have the green box. Here is the transactions that have been that have worked in the elapse of time where it was parameters. You see that there were around 75,000 transactions, and there were 23 fails. It's mainly applicative failing. It was because some tables were not big enough. Some counter was blocked, some things, but very small into, in fact, with an average response time that was good. It was very predictive, and the scenario was creating another entry, creating a delivery associated to this order entry, and then performing the delivery validation. So here, what we can say with this, it's that this version is the best we have ever had. I do not say that there is no problems that are remaining. If there are problems, we will solve them. But we are confident with this version, and we have given it already to some customers that were expecting it, especially international customers that were dealing with different countries, China or Africa or some countries, and they say that for them it was a real progress, and this is a very encouraging thing for us and for you, of course. Okay, that was it to have a small highlight of the 1.2.9 version, and now move to our main subject, which has been completely validated with 1.2.9. It is how can I set up a SSO connection when I'm working in web mode. So first thing is to have the right components. You need to have the latest web server version. The latest web server version is available. You can retrieve it as usual. There is the last modification has been made in the last days, so all the supervisor modification will be included in patch 25, which is not yet available but will be available soon. If you have any urgency, you can ask to the hotline team. They can analyze from the level of patch where you are, what are the impact, and if they can provide you with the right programs in order to make it work. You will have to set some parameters in the X3 web server while using the console. We will see it just after what really is needed. And there is an additional thing that needs to be done on all the workstations. There is a bug in Internet Explorer, and Microsoft has a fix that has to be applied in each workstation. This fix is given in our package. We put a zip in one of the directory of the web server, and if you dzip this file and execute a JavaScript, it will change a value in the computer registry, and so that the NTLM module will work. Note that SSO connection works only with interactive connection. It doesn't work with web services, as there is we cannot interrogate a computer. You receive a flux, but the flux is received from we do not know from whom. So for the web services, you have to work with basic authentication, like it was done in the former versions. Let us move to the different parameters that you will have to set up. These parameters are available while using the console in the expert parameters, and there are two. The first one is all.web.webserver.ntlm.all-on, and the other is the same thing, but NTLM on. Let's see, the different values possible are off or on. Let's see the description of these two parameters. If you look for the NTLM.on, the first one, if you set it to on, it means that the web server will work in NTLM mode if it receives an URL with the property NTLM on equal yes. If the URL is received doesn't include this property, it will work as usual. You will move to the connection screen. You will have to give your login and your password. If there is this, you will work in the NTLM mode. If you set the second parameters, if you set the second one, you need to set the first one. It doesn't work if you set only the second one. You have to have either the first or both. If you set the second one, you do not have to add the property in the URL. The web server will add himself what he needs in order to work in the NTLM mode. And in this case, all the folders that are published in the web server will work in NTLM mode. It is more constraint if you are on a development environment. On a live environment, maybe it may be what you need. But if you have the first one, it enables both. If you, of course, the NTLM mode is compatible with SSL. If you want to work in SSL, you have two parameters at your disposal. It's the all Apache SSL that you have to set it to yes, and you have to provide the SSL port. Normally it's 443, but you have the ability to declare another port and to work with it. It's exactly the same thing as if you do not work with SSO, but SSO is of course compatible with SSL. When you work in SSO, you can after on the supervisor layer, you can work in two ways. You can connect to an LDAP directory. It means that you set up the different parameters in X3 that say, I would like to work in the SSO mode. In this case, you will have to use the parameters that is called SSO connect. It's a parameter we will see after, but which is on the supervisor module and on the security chapter. And for this SSO connect, you have two values that are usable. There is no or interactive. There is a third one that was interactive and web service, but it's, as I told you just before, it doesn't work with web service. We will remove this value from the local menu. When you set the SSO connect to interactive, then it means that the X3 supervisor will try to connect to an LDAP directory depending on what you have parameterized in the directories that are that you may complete in the JES ANU function in X3. The algorithm that is used is that depending on the domain in which you are logged in, we will retrieve on the list of active LDAP directory the first one that is matching your domain, and we will use it. And we will see some slide after, and Bertrand will make a short demo. You will see that you have different capabilities to define the rules to retrieve your user, capabilities to retrieve information in the LDAP directory, and to update X3 values in the autils table or in the adoval table if you want to update parameters. So this is the first way, and you have a last. You have two other parameters that I would like to speak of. The SSO direct, it will become an obsolete parameter, but right now, if we do not find an LDAP directory that is matching your domain, we will use the one that is given in the SSO direct parameters, and we will try to retrieve your window user in this LDAP directory. And the last one is the SSO password. By default, is set to no. And if you set it to yes, it means that we will first try to find you in the LDAP directory. If we do not find you, you will not be allowed to log in the folder. But even if we have found you, we will require you to input your X3 password. It's okay. It's a double check. If you do not use the LDAP connection, you will move towards a basic connection. It means that if you set the SSO connect to no, we will move to the window that you use where you have to enter your login and your password, and your login will be fulfilled by your window login. we will retrieve your username, and you will have to fulfill your password. Or maybe you can change also the user, because let's say that admin, for example, we will see it in another slide, but is not working in the same way as the other users. Okay, this is an example of the JS-INU function, where you have so different information: the domain, the name of the main server, the search identifier, the port, and the password. These are information that enables us to connect to the LDAP directory. So we advise you to have a password that is not expiring, because if yes, you will not be allowed to connect to the application. If there is a problem while contacting the LDAP directory, a password problem, there will be a window that will be open in the application, and that will require you the LDAP password. And so that it will go on, but it's another information to input. And then after, in the different mapping here, you can have different fields that are used. The identifier are used to retrieve the user, but the record and the parameters are used to update X3 values in the two tables, autils or adoval. Here is the function where you have the different parameters we have already spoke of. You see the SSO connect, the directory code SSO direct. The SSO merge is to update the X3 values. If you say yes, the values that are retrieved in the LDAP directories update the different fields in the X3 tables. And the SSO password is for the double check, as we have already spoken of.
Un momento.
Okay. If you are working on non-LDAP status, you set your SSO connection to no, and then you will move towards the first screen for the authentication. You will have to provide your X3 login and your password. For the SSO fix installation, here is the directory in which you will find the zip, which name is SSO _fix.zip. You will extract it. There is a JavaScript, and when you execute it, you will have a value that is set to 1 in the registry. You see it here. And if you do not have this fix applied, the NTLM doesn't work. You can check if you already have this value to 1 in your registry. If yes, you do not have to execute the script. But we prefer to give it on the CD, on the DVD of the web server. So, if we want to resume the different things that we have said, when you are working with your browser, either you have set to the NTLM all on, so you do not need to add anything to the URL, or not, and you have to add the NTLM on equal yes. Then the web server, it will interrogate the browser to retrieve the user code and the domain name, and these two values will be provided to the supervisor that will execute the code, and depending on the parameters that you have set in X3, it will move to the LDAP directory, or it will move to a basic authentication, depending on what you have chosen. And after it will connect or refuse the connection, depending on what happens and the different values that you have provided. There is a few important things that where it's on my last slide that I would like to highlight. Is the user admin is not working as the other user. Admin is not a network user. This one is an exception. When in the supervisor program, when you try to log as admin, we do not move to the LDAP connection. We do not check anything in LDAP. And the SSO connect parameter is something that is global. You can say I'm working in SSO mode for the web and in a different way for the client. It's global. So if you want to work with the SSO connect equal interactive, it means that you will work in this two way with the client and with the browser. And what we have noticed is that the way where the LDAP directory are defined is not the same in the client and in the browser. So you will have probably, depending on the way your domain name is done, but for example in Sage, our domain name for me it's Sage FR when I am working with a browser, because it is the value that Internet Explorer gives back to us. And when I am working with a client, it's not Sage FR, it's sagefr.adinternal.com. This is different values, so we need to have two entries in the JES ANU, but it's something that is it's quite easy to do, but you have to be aware of this. There is a small inconvenience when we work with the SSO Connect is if you want to move to a customer and when you are working with your computer, if you are obliged to work in the SSO mode, it means that if you are not working in web where with the NTLM all on is not set to no, you will have to be logged into the customer domain. It means probably to use one of their computers. But it's the choice of security. We can't, it's difficult to say, I will provide security and I will add exception in the login code. Okay. So that's it for me. Thanks a lot for your patience. And now we will move towards a demo, and I will let Bertrand start the demo. We will have a session of questions after.
Hello, good afternoon to everybody. We'll start try to have a quick demo. I will try to have it for 15 minutes, so we can have 15 minutes for questions and answers. So just show you my environment. I have a virtual machine. Oops, if it wants to collapse. Exit from that. So I have a virtual machine which is a Windows 2008 R2 standard machine with 2 vCPUs, 2 gigs of RAM. It's a server which is in a work group, but we will use authentication on our network on the Sage FR domain. But so the SSO can run on a computer which is not in the domain, but it will query the LDAP of my domain used for workstations. So that's the configuration of my server. If we look at the console, that's the configuration of my solution. I have a solution which is named X3v6 array, which is for Oracle, but would be exactly the same for SQL Server, as the SSO and LDAP are functions which are managed at the application level, not at the database level. I have a web server. My web server is on the same machine but could be on a different machine. Just connecting to the web server to show you the configuration. Come on. Somebody must be working in the ESX, but it's much slower than it was this morning. So here we are. Okay, so that's my web server configuration. You just notice I have used not the default X3 port, but the standard port 80 and 443, just for information. And the NTLM parameters, I have put them to the on value, both of them. So every folder which is published by this web server will enforce NTLM equal NTLM on. So let's try to let's look at the parameters in my folder at the security level. You see, for the moment, I have not set up the SSO connect, nor the directory, nor the control password. So I can show you what's happening in that case. If I run Internet Explorer from this server, trying to connect, I will be able to connect, and my login will be pushed to the user code, but I can change it. For the moment, I'm just using the NTLM initialization of user code. I'm not checking anything with the LDAP directory. So I'm connected with a user, which is BELET, which is my user account. So I have everything known. This is from the server, which is not in a domain. So on that server, I have very simple value. My username is SageX3. My user domain is not a domain, it's the name of the computer. Okay. If I do the same thing from my workstation, I have a username which is the name of my domain account. I have a user domain, a short one, which is SageFR, and I have a user DNS domain, the long one, which is SageFR@internal.com. If I log to my web server, sorry, I need to find Internet Explorer. So I see my portal, the new one. You see the new portal we discussed earlier. We have in a new browser, like it was in the earlier version, launches a new browser session and sets my user code to the value of my user account name, and the new feature which was introduced with 126, that is run the X3 session in the same browser session in a tab. You see, I'm just changing. So remember, but I'm keeping all my bars. May lead to a problem of ACE. I may not see all my session without the lifts. So, sorry, mistyped. So for the moment, I'm with NTLM on, but no SSO LDAP directory. So now I will change that. I will now configure my security parameter values to ask for SSO connection. So I have 3 choices, but the last choice should not be used, will be removed, because using SSO on web services is not supported. It's very hard to support because of the way the web services can be accessed. So there won't be any SSO supported web services. So you have to use interactive. And normally, if you use interactive, you can just validate, and save. And you have to create in this directory, LDAP directory entries, you have to create 1 entry per domain. So in the case you have a full a domain name which is a long one, which can be a short one like sagefr and a long one with sagefr.internal.id.internal.com. You should create 2 identical entries, create one and duplicate, and change the domain. So it's what I've done. In fact, this one will be used for the connections through the client, and this one will be used for the connections through the web server. So there is an online documentation on these functions. Function help. There is an online documentation. So if your documentation is online, you have something to read about it. We will very soon provide a comprehensive document on how to set up step by step in web mode and client server. So that will take information from the documentation, but you will have a single document to work on. So what's important is those fields, identifier and identifier 2, they are the matching name between the X3 column in the users table, the table which is named A utilis, and the LDAP distinguished name, and same for the login and the account name. So distinguished name will be the in some cases different, some cases the same. Depends on the LDAP implementation. These 2 fields will be used for matching within the LDAP directory the account which has been passed by the X3 client or the web server when you log in with the LDAP entries. And you have also to give a search identifier that will be documented, which is how do I connect to the LDAP directory to get information. So you see in that search identifier, I have used my account, my Active Directory account, to connect to the LDAP and to retrieve information about other users. In a normal implementation at the customer side, on the production system, this should be some kind of service account which has just the right to read the LDAP directory and whose password is a permanent one, because this will be this search identifier and this password will be used by the X3 runtime engine at any time a user connects to query the LDAP. So if your password changes or edges have to be changed or is invalidated, this query won't work and your users will be unable to connect. So it's why also we have bypassed the LDAP queries for the admin user, so you may be able to change that if by any change the user account has been disabled or the password has changed. at least you can connect into your folder with admin to check and correct that. So full explanation will be given in the full document because it's quite a long document, a lot of parameters on the choices. So let's stick to that. And now I have activated, we'll try to connect with an LDAP. One side I will connect, sorry, I'm not in a proper section, checking. So I have my SSO connection set to yes. So now I can try two connections, sorry. I will connect with the web client from my workstation. So using the new browser. And you will see that now I'm directly authenticated. I don't have to enter my password because the system has found that my account and my domain are known in the LDAP directory. If I do the same thing with the X3 client, I can even remove the user. It will start a session. Sorry, I'm not using the proper entry. It's another. Web server. So with the client, I'm also connected as SSO1, which is my account. If I look at accounts not set up, users. In fact, it's been matching my Windows login with my X3 login. It has used this entry. If I'm changing that, just checking one thing. Normally it should not be updating. Save. Trying again. So I can put my account or put anything but admin and it will use my account. Okay. I have something to development setup users. Okay. Now I can show you the effect of all the parameters in the global parameters. There is one interesting thing that is the detail. This parameters means SSO update. Update user upon connection. If you change it to yes, you validate. Okay, save. This will perform the updates of all the fields which have been mapped as record or parameter. Records are columns which are in the users table. My display name will be my name, Christian name and given name. Sorry, Christian name and family name. My email address, my telephone number, my fax number, and that those recalled fields, which are the recalled type, are columns in my users table, a utilis, and fields which are marked as parameters are parameters value in my a valnum table. These can be updated from the LDAP when I connect. So now, remember that I just checked which values I had for users. If I look at my account, the account code is XSSO1. My login is BELET. My name is SSO user number 1. Now, if I open a session from a new, sorry, I'm on the wrong screen. If I open a remote session to my folder using the SSO connection, I will do it with the web. Would be the same with client. I will connect and what did I do? Do you have any network authentication? I think I have ruined my Windows account. This should not occur. Oh, okay. Yeah, record. Sorry. Wrong move. Changing. Yeah. Okay. That's the problem. I was updating my record. So, excuse me for this. Should be better now. So now I'm logged directly. If I look at my user account, my name has been updated, my email address has been updated, my default telephone has been updated from the Active Directory. So this is something which is quite interesting, means that you can push parameters when you are using the SSO LDAP mode. You can push parameters within your user profiles or user parameters from the Active Directory. So means, for instance, if your user changes phones, you just have to change it in the Active Directory or LDAP, and it will be pushed to your user profile, or would be same for fax number, things like that. There is a last parameter which can be shown. That's the extra password feature, and then we can go for the questions. If I go to the setup for general parameters, parameter values, supervisor, security, detail. If I go to update control SSO password, save. Now, if I'm connecting with the web, I will have to insert my X3 password. So I have a double control. First control is, does my user account and my domain are authenticated by the LDAP server? Then I have a second level, that's the standard user password. So you can have multiple level of control with that. Last thing I will show you is that if I'm connecting as admin, sorry, where's my X3 client? I have changed resolutions, that's not easy. Yes, here. So if I'm using the admin account, sorry, I didn't do what I asked for, that is putting a password. So I will do it now to show you I'm going through the proper I'm creating a password so I can show you it's checked at login. Okay. Now I'm using the standard X3 authentication method. I'm not going through the LDAP check, and the same with in web. If I'm no, not in web, because in web I will directly, I don't have the first screen, so in web I cannot connect as admin. As soon as NTLM on is forced and I'm in SSO mode, that would require me to remove the implied NTLM on the web server. Last thing, so you can use, then you can ask questions. If I'm connecting from my workstation with a standard account, I will be rejected because in fact it's trying to use my Windows account, and my Windows account does not exist. You see my Windows account here. I'm connected with Windows users, which is named Sage X3 locally. That's my Windows account. And if I'm trying to do the same with that account, I don't have the time now. It will reject because I'm not in the domain. So in that case, I cannot. I'm in the case of the consultant with its workstation, which is not in the domain. I cannot use. Cannot connect anymore to my folder except with the admin account. Which is, I hope you won't have consultants using admin all the time, which is not a good idea. And if I'm trying to connect with the web, I will be rejected too, because I'm not in the domain. Sage X3 user code does not exist. And if I'm doing the same with an account which is known to X3, but I'm not in the domain, I will be rejected. So your security is enforced. So, any questions? Thank you.